Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about a hot topic right now, which are student loans and the Trump administration move to start garnishing wages from people who have defaulted on their loans. Mind you, the loans have been on deferment since I believe 2020, and a lot of people are online, they're upset about it. They're outraged that they have to pay back money that they borrowed to get an education that serves no purpose. That was their choice. But I believe that these videos will really show the entitlement a lot of Americans have, especially the younger generation. They don't believe in taking responsibility or accountability for any of their actions. And a lot of these people, we will go over some of the comments on one of these videos. A lot of these people would rather not work than to pay back the student loans. But let's not waste too much time. Let's go ahead and switch over to the videos, and we'll go ahead and give our commentary as we go.
You didn't want to pay back your student loans, you never should have taken them out. I paid back my student loans, why aren't you paying back yours? There's no responsibility anymore. These are just three of the stupid comments I've seen today when people are talking about the student loan repayment process. And what I think they aren't comprehending is that people aren't saying they won't pay them back. They're saying
There's literally people saying they literally won't pay them back. They don't want to pay them back. And those aren't stupid comments. Those are valid comments. Just like any other loan that you take out as a person, any other promissory note you sign, you have to pay that back. What's the difference in student loans? The difference is that a lot of these people regret having gone to school and getting a useless degree that got them no actual job. They regret that they were tricked. They were told that the way to financially move ahead in America was to go to college and to go tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars into debt so they could have a better opportunity at life. And don't get me wrong, college can be a great tool. I'm not totally against college. I'm in college right now myself. I'm in an MBA program, and we'll talk about that in a little bit because I'll explain to you guys my situation as well. But those are valid concerns. If I paid for my loans, why can't you? If I didn't go to college, why should I subsidize your education? You're the one that signed that note, that loan paperwork. You should be responsible for paying it. And again, like I said, there are many, many people out there legitimately saying that they will not pay them back. And I have some examples, but let's continue.
to pay them back. Many student lenders are predatory, and no matter how much you pay and for how long you pay, the balance never goes down. Making a comparison for older generations who paid back their student loans, what was your student loan payment? How much did you?
So see, here's the problem. And it's true, they'll never pay them down because a lot of these students, a lot of these former students, they took out these loans, are paying the minimum. They're paying the bare minimum. If you have a loan balance of $10,000, let's just say just a regular credit card loan balance of $10,000. And I will tell you from personal experience, because I've had this, so I'm talking about myself here. And I just decided to pay the minimum, which I did for a while. I did end up eventually paying down that entire amount. But the bank statement literally told me it would take me 47 years to pay $10,000 just paying the minimal amount every month. And so the reason their balance never goes down, it's because they're paying the bare minimum on it and they continue to accrue the interest. That's what's happening. They refuse to maybe skip out on Starbucks for 2-3 times a week and make coffee at home. They refuse to stop getting those margaritas. They refuse to live this comfortable lifestyle and just live with the bare minimum to put more money towards the loan to get rid of it faster and then complain about it. And yes, the question she had for the older generation is valid. I'm not older generation, but you know when the student loan thing got bad, it was when the government got involved. Student loans were never this predatory because the government never guaranteed to pay for them. That is the problem. That's why schools charge the insane amounts that they charge today. And so these banks have no problem lending you the insane amounts that these schools are charging for you to pay for school because they know that the loans are guaranteed by the federal government. You want the loan amounts, you want to pay less for schools, we need to get the government out of loans, out of school loans.
Guarantee you it's not what people are going to school for nowadays. It's literally per semester the price of like a luxury vehicle. And then not only that, the cost of living has gone up because yes, we do have bills to pay. We cannot just pay our student loans and nothing else, but the wages have not gone up. And I'm not even speaking for myself. I have a master's degree. I luckily only have FAFSA loans and I don't have any predatory lenders, and I'm not on default or behind, and I'm paying back my student loans and I don't have a lot of them. But it just is such a stupid argument to see people come on here and just express how ridiculous it is. And not that they won't pay them back, that they are paying them back, but they physically cannot decrease the balance. And like all I can think is I don't want to hear anyone bitching and complaining when there's nobody going into healthcare and there's no one to work in healthcare systems to take care of anyone because it is financially impossible to get into that field anymore. Like, I don't want to hear it.
We're going to talk about the healthcare thing, and because I have another video I want to show you guys of somebody. It's actually coming up next, and then we'll go over salaries for healthcare workers. I'm going to read you guys some facts. But yeah, let's continue.
I feel like this is another like fuck around and find out moment because all of these people in the comments who think the people making these videos are lazy when like the majority of the ones I've seen are people who work in healthcare and are doing like amazing work and working their asses off to not be able to afford their loans and also just living.
What happens to our healthcare system after this student loan thing kicks in? Truly. Because I can name on one hand the amount of nurses I know that have never taken out student loans. I know older nurses that I have worked with who have paid them off, and a lot of the times the older nurses are the ones who took the 2-year route and then eventually got their BSN. But they could start out as 2 years. I haven't worked with an associate's nurse. I'm a hematology, oncology, bone marrow transplant, cross-trained CAR T, you name it, oncology, chemotherapy, I've done it. In order to work at the hospitals I work at, you have to have a BSN. And honestly, I became a nurse in 2020. The AA degree that you can get in nursing, it's obsolete. It's obsolete. And I went straight for my BSN. And I was told by all of my conservative family members over and over and over again that I needed a 4-year degree. And now I'm a dumbass for going to college. Which is like a crazy narrative. That's a crazy narrative switch. Anyway. What happens to our hospitals after this? The doctors that I have worked alongside with have over $500,000 worth of student loans.
Yeah, well, doctors also make a lot of money. Doctors aren't exactly hurting here. Not even the ones that work for public hospitals. Doctors get paid very handsomely. And now, while I have the video here, I do want to go over, because I did the research before I decided to make this video. But I asked ChatGPT, what is the average nurse salary in the US? Now, I do pay for ChatGPT, so it does search the web. It's not just giving me stats off of the 3.5 model or whatever, outdated stats. It actually actively searches the web and gives answers. As of 2025, the average salary for registered nurses in the United States varies depending on the data source and methodology. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the national average annual salary for an RN is approximately $94,000, with a median hourly wage of $45.42. Now, I'm going to continue reading because there are more stats. It does break it down. It does depend, right, on which state you work at, the demand, cost of living, all of that stuff matters. I'm not saying it doesn't. But on average, nurses are making about $94,000. This is for registered nurses, right? They're making about $94,000. So you mean to tell me that making $94,000, which is way above the national average in income in America, these people cannot afford to pay their student loans? And it goes back to what I was saying earlier. These people make this kind of money and refuse to not live a life of luxury. They want to live above their means instead of taking care of their responsibilities. With $94,000 a year, you should be able to pay back your student loans. You should be putting more into that loan every month than what is the minimum required of the loan. And you should be able to comfortably pay them off every year. Again, I'm not saying the cost of living hasn't gone up. Everyone was affected by the inflation that has been going on for the last 4 years. Not disputing that. But not a lot of people are making $94,000. And so with $94,000, you can most certainly afford to pay off your student loans and maybe cut back on that coffee that you want to buy every day instead of making it at home. Maybe cut back on the twice a year vacations that you take outside of the country, that you spend thousands of dollars. All you have to do that is for a few years, pay your loans off, and then you can do whatever you want. Anyways, let's continue reading. However, other sources provide different estimates. For instance, Talent.com reports an average annual salary of $84,000 is still pretty good for registered nurses, with entry-level positions starting at $66,799. Again, that's still above the average, and that's just for starting level positions. With experienced nurses earning up to $124,000. So again, what is the excuse this person is making here? All I hear is entitlement. Why people aren't going to go into the healthcare field because they can't pay their student loans because the degree is expensive. You're making off rip, you're making way more money than the average person. So these are all excuses. This just all sounds like entitlement. But let's go ahead and move on.
You fuckers that keep saying, why should my tax dollars pay for other people's student loans? One, go fuck yourself. If your tax dollars did pay for student loans, it's because you're investing in society as a whole. A rising tide lifts all boats.
It doesn't. A rising tide doesn't lift all boats when it comes to education. It lifts you up. Billy Bob Jr. that went to trade school and works at the local car shop isn't being lifted because you went to school and you decided to go into debt. This woman perfectly encapsulates the fact that merely going to school doesn't make you a smart or intelligent person. But these are the same people that will tell you that they're smart and intelligent because they went to school. These are the same people that vote for the politicians that tell them that they're better because they went to school. Mind you, the reason these people are able to go to school and get these useless degrees is because people like Billy Bob, who went into a trade like plumbing, who went into a trade like electricity, who went into any other kind of trade that actually makes this world run. Because let's be serious. Let's be honest. If it wasn't for the electrician, the guys that build homes, the people that fix plumbing, all the infrastructure jobs that are mostly done by men, by guys who didn't go to school, we would not have a functioning society. You wouldn't have all the luxuries that you currently have. But these people think they're better because they went to college, not realizing that they don't actually run society. That society runs because of other people that actually do the jobs that actually matter. A lot of these people don't understand.
people are, the better off all of us are. But second, your tax dollars aren't paying for student loans. Our
Tax dollars aren't paying for student loans. What does she think is going to happen? Again, this goes to perfectly show that just because someone went to school doesn't necessarily mean they're smart. Just because you got an education doesn't necessarily make you a smart person. And this person clearly showed it. What does she think? How does she think the student loans are going to get paid? Like when these people talk about student loan forgiveness, I wonder if they think that they just disappear. No, it's the federal government paying the banks off. The government does not produce any money. I guarantee you this person does not know that. This person probably thinks the government produces money. The government doesn't produce a goddamn thing. All the government does is take taxpayer money to fund everything. This person is dumb, but that's the only part of the video that I wanted to play. She really makes no argument. She says that we'd all be better because she went to school and she decided to go into debt and not pay for it. And she went to school and doesn't even know that the government doesn't actually produce money. All they do is take from the tax-paying citizens. She honestly believes that it's not the taxpayer dollars who will be on the foot for the $1.6 trillion of dollars in student loan debt. She believes that they're just canceled. No one's getting paid on it. No one is taking any money whatsoever. These people they're insane. They're insane. And I have a bunch of videos, but I don't want to make this video too long. I'm already at 17 minutes. I'm going to play 2 more videos, and then I'm going to play a voice of reason, and then I'm going to give you guys a little background about mines, and then I'm going to cut the video. So this is another LARPer because these people live in an alternate reality.
So if I don't have any wages to garnish, then what? Does that categorize me as a criminal and then I'm sent to the concentration camps?
These people live in an alternate reality. Everything is a boogeyman to them. You heard what she said. She'd rather not work than to pay off her loans. That's what she'd rather do. No, they won't consider you a criminal, by the way. You'll go into default. That's okay. What'll happen is eventually you will need to work. And then guess what will happen? They will take your wages. You can't live your entire life without working a job because you don't want to be responsible for the loans that you took out. Now, I have this next video here. If you have student loans, do not listen to this person. I asked ChatGPT about this. I did the research before I made the video because this just sounds ridiculous. But hear this person out.
They can't garnish your wages if you're a student. A student who is taking at least 6 credit hours. A student who is taking 6 credit hours in a degree-seeking or certificate-seeking program, preferably at a local community college where the tuition is going to be a lot cheaper than that student loan bill you're going to get. And if you never finish school and you want to return back, they have scholarships for that now. A lot of them. If you've been thinking, oh, I should go back to school, I'm not even using this degree anyway, I don't even see why it's necessary, I can guarantee you that one semester of tuition that's under $700 or $800 at most is going to be cheaper than 6 months of bills. And then you just take your time with it. You take your time getting your degree. Don't worry about how much time it's going to take. Don't worry, sweetheart, that time going to pass anyway. Okay, the time's already passed. All right, the bills is due now. Okay, if it was me, I would go back. I take some classes. I get them off my back. I would make sure it was something that I wanted to do. I wouldn't take out no loans, and I would just get through it that way. People have been doing this for years.
This person, do not listen to this person. This person is utterly delusional, and I did look this up. First of all, you see what these people are willing to go through, all the hoops they're willing to jump to not pay off their student loans. But these are the same people that say they can't afford a mortgage, they can't afford anything, because what's going to happen if you get a mortgage? What happens if you have a car note and you decide to stop paying your car? Well, should the bank not repo your car because you actually need your car to go to work day to day? But do not listen to this person. I'm going to read to you the actual facts, and then we're going to read some of the comments on her page that are utterly delusional. These people do not know what they're talking about. And what's going to happen, first of all, you have two choices. You either pay for them out of pocket or with scholarships, whatever it was she was saying, so you're still coming out money, and then you're still accruing interest on the loans you already have. Or your second option is to take more loans and get into more debt. That's basically what she's saying. But I did ask ChatGPT if can they garnish your wages for previous student loans if you re-enroll in school years later. Yes, re-enrolling in school does not automatically prevent wage garnishment for defaulted federal student loans. If your loans are in default, meaning you haven't made payments for 270 days or more, the U.S. Department of Education can initiate collection actions, including garnishing up to 15% of your disposable income. This process is set to resume on May 5th, 2025, following a pause that began in March 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. These people have had 5 years to get their lives in order, to make payments on student loans that weren't accruing any interest. And they decided to put them off. And now it's the government's fault. It's everyone else's fault that they have to start paying, or they're going to get their wages garnished. Do not listen to this person. Now, let's read some of the comments on her video. Child, that's just going to get you in more and more debt and more and more and more debt. That was what somebody else said. Not my brain completing they can't garnish your wages if you have no wages. Again, these people rather not work than to pay off what they owe. Payments resume after 9 months of leaving class. So you take the fall quarter 2025, then the summer 2026, take spring 2027, whatever. It goes on and on. Also, check your work benefits. Your employer might have tuition reimbursement programs. I'd be tempted to take out a personal loan, pay off the student loans, and then owe the bank. If the default is inevitable, better off on a bank than the government. Now, do you think a bank, when they run your credit, is going to allow you to get a loan when they see you can't even pay your student loans? Someone in her comment said you can file for bankruptcy on the bank loan. Again, the bank's not going to lend you any money if you're already not paying your other loans. It's like these people don't even think it through. And I read these aren't very good comments, but when I was looking at the video earlier, some of these people were like coming up with these scenarios that they don't even think. They don't realize that these things will not work. Just got a job at a university. I can go for free and stay in the firm forever. It's not how it works. That's not how it works. Let me go and get a second degree in underwater basket weaving because they ain't getting nothing. You would just continue to accrue interest and they will garnish your wages anyways. Someone even suggested moving to another country and getting a job in another country because the U.S. has no way of garnishing your wages from other countries, which is true, but what are the chances you get hired by a company in another country to work for them? One. And two, let's say you did move, but you were still working for an American company. You think they won't touch your money? America, I believe, is the only country in the world where you can move out of America, and as long as you hold U.S. citizenship, you are still liable to pay taxes in the United States. They will find a way to get your money. These people are unwell and they're not very smart. They're not very smart. These people would rather do anything under the sun than be responsible with their money. Now, I have one last video I want to play for you guys, and I'll tell you guys a personal story, and we'll end the video there. This person is making a lot of sense. And there's not a lot of people like this that are making a lot of sense about student loans.
There's no way that you're upset that you have to pay a loan back that you signed up for. Nobody held your hand and forced you to sign on the dotted line after you agreed to the terms and conditions. You're mad because you believed the liars from the last administration that we're going to forgive you of those loans. That's why you're mad. They promise. We're going to get rid of them. We're going to forget. Bitch, you're the one who signed up for them.
Right.
You went to the bank or the institution or whatever and said, I need this loan. I'm going to sign my life away for it. You probably didn't read the fine print. And you've had, like, it was frozen in 2020. You've had 5 fucking years to think about this. Don't give me the, we only have 2 weeks to get our life together. You've had 5 fucking years. If you make poor decisions like that, you might as well just sign up for a little OF and start selling the photos, bitch. Because that's real life. Be an adult. Pull your little panties up and get to work.
Not one lie was told. Now, personal story, because I did say I am currently in school. I am currently in school for an MBA program. I'm not currently living in the country. Now, do I have student loans? The fact is that, yes, I do have student loans. But I did that knowing that I can get rid of them. I have a mortgage that I pay every month. I'm not currently living in my house. I'm actually living outside of the country while I finish my program. I served in the military for 11 and a half years. My school is paid for. I didn't need to take the loans. I took the loans because I wanted to. I know I'll get rid of them. Hear me out, and this is going to sound a little messed up, but this is how the system works. And you, as a person, have to be willing to work the system when the system works you. I gave this great nation 11 and a half years of my life to serve. That got me free schooling. Now, my school is paid for. My bachelor's was paid for, and my MBA is basically paid for. Now, the reason I took the loans was because there's this program for disabled veterans, because I am a 100% disabled veteran, where you can get your loans forgiven due to your disability status. And this doesn't actually only apply to veterans. This applies to a lot of disabled groups, believe it or not. If you're a disabled person watching this video, you made it this far, go look into the program. It's a program that was started back in 2020, and it's a program that I plan to take full advantage of. I was willing to give my life for this country. I got hurt while serving, and I get to reap the benefits that come with that. Now, a lot of these people could have chosen to go to the military and gotten free education. But a lot of these people think they're better than people that serve. But guess what? The people that serve can go get that same education that you got for free and leave out of school without having to pay a dime. And again, while I do have loan debt, my loan debt is very small. I believe it's about $13,000 right now. It's not much. When I graduate school, that debt will be wiped out. And so I went to school for free. just because I was willing to give my country a few years of my life. And so that's just a personal story. If you made it this far and enjoyed the video, I appreciate it. And I would appreciate it if you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.